Okay. Your folks. Good evening, everybody. Just before I start the proceedings, firstly, could I acknowledge nothing new? Could I acknowledge the mihi to Tamati and to Charlie for the welcome, and could I acknowledge this wonderful Whananui Tamati for quite anyone. I'll declare the LTP hearings Friday 10th of May open, and in doing so, could I remind councillors and staff this hearing is being recorded and will be made available on the Bay City Regional Council website following the hearing. Those members of the public here today, all care will be taken to maintain your privacy. However, as a visitor in the public gallery or in the Whananui, your presence may be recorded. By remaining in the public gallery, it's understood consent that's given if your images are independently broadcast. Also remind all present local government decision making forwards no protection of councillors, officers and the public for comments made during meetings and subsequently challenged in court of law found to be slanderous. I ask Charlie what over you kind of is. Sure, Charlie. Apologies. We have apologies from not being present from Councillor Thompson, Councillor Thurston, Councillor Nees, Councillor Winters and Shirley, but they should all be on Zoom. And we have apologies for newly departed from Councillor Von Donaldson and Councillor E.T. departing at midday. Any other apologies? Not, we have removed and seconded that apologies received. Councillor Scott, Councillor Crosby, all those in favour say aye. Against. Carried. Public forum, there is no public forum. Number 4, items not on the agenda. Following public excluded reports to be added to the agenda. Additional late submissions received. And I've moved a seconder to accept the additional report, please, which has been circulated. Councillor Von Darlington, Councillor White, all those in favour say aye. Against. Carried. Order of business. Consideration items not on the agenda. Additional late items submissions received to be considered after item 8.1 prior to commencement of their hearing. Declaration of conflict of interest. Any declarations of conflict of interest in terms of these hearings? I don't believe there is. Public excluded business will transit into the open. There is none. Agenda item 8, decisions required. Hearing for submissions on the consultation document for the draft long-term plan and the following statements proposal: draft revenue and financing policy, draft rates remission and postponement policy or land, draft rates remission, postponement policy for Māori freehold land, draft development of financial contributions, policy and draft fees and charges policy. Procedures, staff councillors, the recommendations are on the following page. Councillor Von Donaldson moved, Councillor E.T. second. No further discussion. All those in favour say aye. Against. Carried.
Yes, there is resolution.
Okay. Late items, we need a recommendation, a resolution on the last part on the next page that we see the report and resolve the 2 late submissions identified in this report be received and confirms the public excluded on the grounds to set out the Local Government Information Act. Resolution. I'll move. Councillor White second. All those in favour say aye. Against. Carried. Thank you. Public excluded section. No need to go into public excluded as the other negative attachment will not be discussed and is for receipt only. So that leads us, Miranda, to commence the hearings. So our first submitter is Mr. Charlie Eddy. behalf of Ngāti Ranginui iwi. Welcome, Charlie.
And give apologies from Mel Putter, our CEO, who was due to present to you this morning. I'm not Mel, obviously, but I do feel like I'm gifted at that max. But I call Charlie Rahi for Puniwa, no Punea, no Anskari, no Ankarani, Mokatsumu, Mata, Waka, Ichikokia, Yuma, Mara, Te Waiwa, no Pune, no Maikamaro, no Anskandra, no Hoki, Panga Kia, Maikarani, we did a Chikarami of Paiva, Morena, Emiliana, Piaputa. I'm going to time myself because I'm not good in, if I'm honest, I could listen to myself all day, but you don't need to hear this. My name is Charlie. My name is Charles. I was born and raised here in Tauranga. I always like to say my grandfather's name was Charles Ahi. My father is Charles Ahi. I'm Charles Ahi. So technically speaking, I'm Charles too. That name is the Monday at the moment. So I am a video of Ngāti Ranginui and chairman of Te Runa o Ngāti Ranginui and Ngāti Ranginui Fisheries Trust. With the endorsement of my board and all our Ranginui Marae representatives, I select to present to you today. E mihi ana ki a tuapiro ki tāpiti nui, ki paparoa, ki tautu te rangi, ki tūtereina, ki te waiwa, ki hangarau, ki huria, ki waimapu, ki haerere, o tira ngā marae maha o Ngāti Ranginui iwi. Ngāti Ranginui iwi hone extends from Otane Wainuku, west of the Waimapu River, to Tuapiro, north of Katikati, flanked by the Kaimai Ranges and the Moana o Taonui. Ki uta, ki tai o Ranginui e. Mauri o Ngāti Ranginui are the descendants of our ancestors who arrived in Tauranga Moana on Wakataki Timu, and I just want to acknowledge that Tuahine, and I shared with her that the Takitimu was built in a little island, it's by Nuporu in summer. So this is her marae as well. And the waka first arrived at the foot of Moa, landing at Te Puka Tirikawa. Upon arrival, our people Tamatari Nui and his son Rongoka performed significant rituals to connect our uri and to the rohe of Tauranga Moana and review our presence here. The naming of significant features in Tauranga continues and remains as key points such as Kawanui, Pūwhenua, or Timoi. Within the rituals of Tamatari Nui, we can continue to uphold this mountain, which is prominent and predominant and within the way we exercise our culture. Ngāti Ranginui, we take this opportunity to discuss the vital interest for our youth in the Bay of Plenty long-term plan. This consultation offers a critical opportunity to align our collective visions for a sustainable and inclusive future. I've got a script. I'm just going to quickly go off script here and acknowledge the Bay of Plenty Regional Council for your leadership. Your leadership in terms of the inclusion of Māori wards. I think it was a huge step for this country and one that took some 10, 15 years for the rest of the country to catch up. And so I acknowledge the Regional Council for that. I acknowledge the Regional Council for the support and resources that you apply to iwi and hapu to participate in processes such as this. And you have a fantastic team that is always available to assist so that we are active participants in processes such as this. Just want to make that acknowledgement. We started our submission with public transport. Our whānau residing within their respective marae rohe face challenges with public transport. Current distance to the nearest bus stops compromises safety and hinders independence, and I make reference to our kaumata and tamariki. We strongly advocate to adjust bus routes and exploring alternative transport solutions tailored to promoting access for our kaumata and our tamariki. By improving accessibility, we not only enhance their well-being, but ensure they remain connected and are active within our community. Clearly, through the long-term plan, we land at water and air quality. The rivers that run through our lands are not just our water bodies, they are lifelines and they are our cultural, spiritual, and ecology. The deteriorating water quality is alarming. We insist that any measures to address this issue must involve our people from the outset, integrating Mātauranga Māori and prioritising our holistic understanding of water, which goes beyond mere swimmability to include cultural and ecological perspectives. With a focus on the Taiwan, climate change must continue to be a priority. Our marae and many of our sacred burial grounds, the Urupa, are increasingly threatened by coastal erosion and flooding. It is crucial to prioritise comprehensive education, mitigation planning and community engagement to tangata whenua with the protection of these significant sites. We need the Council's collaboration to implement effective strategies and secure the sustainability of our communities against these environmental threats. From the taiao, we move to partnership and the true essence of the Treaty of Waitangi. Our submissions gave great detail to the port share sell-down. Your proposal to sell down shares in the port has significant implications for regional control and benefits. We are concerned that reducing public ownership could shift the focus from regional well-being to purely economic interests. We urge the Council to ensure that any changes will continue to prioritise regional benefits and emphasise for the councillors to consider the strategic inclusion of tangata whenua. Furthermore, the inclusion of tangata whenua into the governance of the port to ensure local voices are heard and our interests are safeguarded. Let me loop back to the taiao and the role we play as responsible kaitiaki, which saw us in opposition in the Environment Court last year over the port expansion. Everything we are derives from our observations of the natural world, and we are seeing increasing misalignment to this natural continuum that spans eons of time and will long after we're gone. Water levels are changing, birds are migrating later. We are experiencing weather phenomena we haven't seen before. We've seen in the last 10 years the Wairoa flood 3 times, and when it flooded, the waters of life that we have, the te pūmanawa of te Wairoa, connected with the whakahekino o ngā tūpapa, the ancient burial ponds. We seek not just to address these issues, but to forge a robust partnership with the Papua Regional Council. Our young people are challenging us, challenging leadership roles, and expect that we will advocate for everything we value. The status quo is no longer acceptable to them, nor should it be. It's tiring standing in the way and being a barrier, but until the direction moves in a way that sees us as genuine partners in the natural environment, in the economy, in the ecosystem of this ever-growing city and region of ours, we will continue to stand in the way. Our commitment is to our people. My commitment is to our people. And service-based leadership ethics compel us to do better for our land, for our water, and for our future. We believe that through collaborative effort, through genuine partnership, we can achieve a plan that respects and incorporates our values and ensures a thriving plenty for us. Ngāti Ranginui Iwi stands here on behalf of our hapu today, but we are very clear. Where our hapu can assert their mana as mana whenua within their own rohe, then we will support them to do so. But we will also advocate for the wider benefit of our iwi. Let us move together forward with respect, mutual understanding towards a brighter and more inclusive future. For tauranga, for te moana toi, for ngā uri tapu whakatipuranga kei te heke mai. And in the words of a very wise taumasa, Joe Harawea, we don't live for today, we borrow it from our mokopuna. And we want to leave a legacy for our mokopuna that incorporates the environment, the economy, and the ecosystem that we can build together. Nō reira, e mihi ana kia putai, koe rā te kōrero o ngā Ranginui, e whakatakotoria kei moi atu tau i tēnei ata, ka hoki au ki te haka o Ranginui, i te ngaro Ranginui, ka kitea. Hara mai toru ngai, tunga i te upo hau i te whamara ngai, te toru tana mai i te upu. I whakarau i ki tauranga kia ki te whare o te marihi i te mai. Uhia mai te rau o te au. Ki te unahi o te ika Ranginui e tua kene. He atua, he titua, he atua, he titua. E mihi ana kia.
Kia ora, Charlie. Could I firstly acknowledge you and your submission in terms of clearly addressing the 4 issues outlined in your submission and acknowledge the comprehensive, well thought through submission. Councillors, any questions on interpretation? If not, thank you very much, Charlie.
Cool.
So our next submitter is Veronica Waiari and Tane from Kaiwhakanui Marae Reserve Trust.
Yes.
Tēnā tātou katoa, nā kai mihira o koe moana, kanui ke mihi ki a koutou. Mō tō tautoko I te marae o Tākatinui, I tū mai ki te kōrero I tēnei rā. Kanui te mihi ki a tātou katoa ko tai mai nei ki te awhi o te kaupapa o ngā kaupapa nui. Ko Veronica Wai I tōku ingoa, e uri tēnei no Ātirangi nui no Maitarangi. I am a trustee of Tākatinui Marae Trust. I have our BOPRC project manager here today to total our submission.
Morning, o tāna roa whakangoa. Matarani te iwi nā pūtiki hapu. The project manager for the Tākatinui, lucky enough to be the project manager for the Tākatinui Whakakainga. And just here and so and very technical questions that might come up around.
Again, I want to thank the council for giving Tākatinui Marae the opportunity to speak to our submission. And a big mihi to us here today and this beautiful whare, Tomatia Pokai Whenua. Tākatinui Marae is our home to our whānau and is situated north of the Wairoa Bridge. If you're heading towards Katikati and you turn left on Barrett Road, just before the Whakamaurua shops, and if you continue to the end of Barrett Road, you'll come to this sign and our beautiful marae behind it. The next slide, please. Our marae is one of 4 belonging to the hapu of Pirirako. We affiliate to the iwi of Ngāti Rangirui. We also have connections to Maitarangi, Ngāti Ruanui in Taranaki, and Ngāti Houa in the Waikato. The land's been handed down to us from Puna, and in this picture here, just going to come up, we have our Papakainga block here, our marae block here, and these 2 blocks are administered by Tākatinui Marae Trust, and then we have our Ahuwhenua block here, which is leased by our farmers, administered by Ahuwhenua Trust. So we have, in this photo, we have 3 blocks that are administered by 2 entities, but we are one whānau, same beneficiaries. Next slide, please. So we haven't had the resources to develop the land that was gazetted specifically for Papakainga. As you're probably aware, there are a lot of complexities dealing with multiple owned land, from its administration to occupation and then obtaining finance to develop it. So marae aren't in the business of making money, although we do receive raising income, some marae forage income, but they are invested straight back into the marae for the maintenance and the upkeep of it. So there's no capital for us to develop the land, and obtaining finance is extremely difficult because of the land status. With this in mind, the Papakainga was essentially put in the too hard basket, because without PTO money, we couldn't get the project off the ground. Treaty settlement is also still unsettled, and there is no time frame on when that might be completed. About 18 months ago, Willie Te Aho came and sat down with us to speak about the Whai Kainga Whai Orana kaupapa, funded by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, or MHUD, and we jumped at that opportunity. And with short notice, we worked hard and developed a proposal that saw us secure 2.5 million towards the Papakainga infrastructure development. Next slide, please. And a big part of this proposal involved our whānau, improving the oranga, or the health of Tākatinui Marae, and the intergenerational well-being of the people at the top of with this project. Secure housing not only supports the physical needs of whānau, but the close proximity of the Papakaina to Tāwhitinui Marae reconnects whānau to the whenua where they can fulfil their responsibilities as kaitiaki or guardians. Now, this project required 20 whānau. They met a certain criteria consisting of being the first homeowner, being employed and not on a benefit, that their housing repayments were no more than 33% of their income, and that they could whakapapa back to the marae. So we started off with 29 whānau, and then we brought it down to 20 as circumstances changed. Our whānau in these photos visited Booksmart in Huntly to view potential housing. We also visited Pohara Marae to view their Papakaina project and to get ideas on how ours could look. And we also had kaumātua involved in our project, speaking to our whānau about the history of the whenua. Looks like this. Part of securing the 2.5 million in funding meant that deliverables needed to be met before any drawdowns were made. So once we signed the contract, we were able to get the geotech and surveying started. Next slide, please. And from there, we developed a plan. So our second deliverable required evidence that resource consents had been obtained for the site. And this is where issues arose with the septic and wastewater pump system and the stormwater system. And I'll get Tanya to discuss that further.
So, unfortunately, unforeseen circumstances around the septic, around stabilising the land, really to make it safe to build. We've gone over what our allocation for the budget was. The main, I guess, issues were that, and there were three main areas that we had an increase in cost over that. And was, if you can see in the kind of bottom of that slide, there's a red line. We had to stabilise that hill that's sitting behind it to make it safe for those houses to be built in front of it. So quite a huge cost there, unforeseen, I guess, unforeseen circumstance went into that as opposed to where it was supposed to be going into actually the rest of the development. The other kind of issue we have encountered was around the main septic area, because obviously there's no sort of main services out there. We had to have an on-site system developed. Being 20 homes out there, it has to be quite a large septic to be safe for the environment out there as well as safe for the whenua. So that was quite a jump in cost for that as well. We've also got stormwater issues because probably when you look at that plan, we can, it looks flat. But if you actually ever go out that way, and encourage you to drop it and on your way past and have a look, you'll actually see that there's 3 layers to that development. Where the marae is one low point, and where that entry road comes into the centre, that's the high point. Then it goes to an even lower point where the big red square in the left-hand corner is there. So there's 3 layers to it. Now, to get waste to that area being the lowest point and furthest away from the marae, and probably find one of the safe areas to get it away from the Papakaina as possible. As you can imagine, there is quite a few, lack of a better word, there's a lot of the system or pumps that have to get it there. So that was quite a huge kind of cost increase to what we had initially thought in the budget.
Can we move to the next slide, please? That's just a picture of what Tanya was speaking about in the, I think there's another slide, maybe. So at present, we have a remaining budget of 1.2 million, which is not enough to cover the cost to put 20 houses on there. We've applied for a funding variation through INPUT, but everything's put on pause due to changes within the government agencies. So what we are seeking through the long-term plan process is support from regional council to complete the infrastructure. Specifically, we are seeking a financial contribution to complete the infrastructure phase or support in kind as we work through this technical process. For example, if we need to seek a variation of existing resource consent and other work required that falls under the jurisdiction of the regional council. We do know that Auckland region or Auckland Council are a good example of financially supporting Papakaina, and they have a cultural initiatives fund for Papakaina with the maximum amount of 130,000 per year per applicant.
Just Veronica.
Pardon?
Is that it?
No, and then in terms of the support kind that they do offer, they have a Māori housing unit that provides technical and specialist advice. So this contribution will allow Tāwhātini Marae to successfully complete the infrastructure for our Papakaina development. And again, Tāwhātini Marae would like to thank the council, Toi Moana, for the opportunity to speak to our submission today, and await further information in the future. Nō reira, he piri no I tō tātou whare, tēnā tātou katoa.
Good, Veronica. Thank you very much again for a very comprehensive submission. Congratulations to the. Next submitted is Helen Beard. Helen Brooks.
Koire, o mai nā kua katina te awa. Te kope hatu. O te aro te waka, te iwi. Mai rā, tēnā. My name is Helen Bale, and I'm here today as an individual, but I'm actually representing my country and so who are resides in Te Kuki. We have 5 4 hubbies, and we reside in the country. Now, our history with my inheritance in the council comes back to the 1890s with the Te Kuki Drainage Board. Then in 1907, we had the Te Tuna Drainage Board. Then we had the 150s and we moved into the continental drainage. So, there has been huge change that's happened on the river that's impacting my people. Our PNG region council doesn't actually have good reputation in that bit because of their lines. They never see that in Southern Field, okay? Their lines to any little way. So in the streams and the rivers and our family, my house. We have an atiratanga. So I'm here today because I'm concerned because we have this great big festival, smart group that is now looking at doing. And I like to change that word about the house and our building. Back to the time when seconds first arrived. Huge change. At the moment, we have the second biggest industrial park in the PNG region going on in industry. And now there's talk about an eastern sleeper of 45,000 going on in our backyard as well. And so when I think about where our people are, but I don't essential of people today. On average, we register, I think we have about 3,000, maybe 500 on our register. I could be a bit generous, But our median income is something like $29,500. So, you know, when you talk about being marginalised in your own land, we're now this is not a story that is uncommon amongst my communities that happens everywhere. But I wanted to come to you today to make you aware that there's great change. And so when I think back to the time of our parents, all these things happened around them. They had no control over it. And now that we're sitting in 2024, you realise that that isn't good enough. And if we look to lessons from the past, which is what our parents have taught us, then we need to be equally vigilant and quite cynical, because we feel that we're marginalised in that way. Anyway, and I'll give you an example of that. The work that was undertaken, probably, I think it was really at the time, and there were huge drainage systems that we used to drain the now. But we had extensive swamp things that less we lived on the Vedas climate. And those swamps were systematically drained. And we're talking 16,000 hectares of land. Out of that, the purpose wasn't for mining, it was for agriculture, it was for horticulture. Yet we lived on the farm. And so when we look at today, 2024, and what's coming at us, and we look to the lessons of the past, we don't want to repeat what happened to our children. And so now more than ever, not just the Waika but Māori need to participate and need to be seen to be participating. And at the decision making table. I know that there are standards that regional council adhere to that come from government, but to us those standards have never been. And so when I think about 40,000 sitting, that's going to come from that anyone, I wonder whether how was that discharge from that and go and who was it to go to. So on top of these issues, there are also legacy issues of the past that we carry with us. That's a one that doesn't go wrong. And we've had the experience of having to go to court to argue about why. And as far as our people are concerned, all the councils conspired together to take our order, which has now been chucked here. So we have another 24 plus rivers and streams in the top of them, and we don't want to repeat of the mining. So I guess for us, when we look at our report, at the last submission hearings for the parents and educational spend. So anyway, we bought some of them more, and I think you'll see some of them today as well. And so they are our expenses because they're always there. And so for them, they worry about the future. They heard us talk about our experiences, but they worry for themselves, and they worry about their place in the future of their government. And so today we have residential development that's coming at us hard in place. Not a lot of our farmers take advantage of that. Instead, we're living in substandard housing. We're living in overcrowded conditions because we simply can't afford those prices. And so now you see an influx of farmers wanting to come home because it's cheaper. And so we worry about progress and we worry about the development that is coming at us. We worry about, it's almost like the David economy, because we have finally have to do the baby bound environment statements, basically that they don't have the luxury of being able to sit down and consider the future when the present is so. And so, I guess what I'm asking is, there needs to be capacity building or resourcing so that we can grow that capacity, so that we can participate in places like this, in certain spaces like this. And so that's probably really why I come here. I didn't come with anything because you get a lot of people throwing stuff at you and that all kind of sits in there and it comes out saying, I've come to deliver that message on behalf of people. The other thing I want to briefly while I'm here, in the last submissions I noted on the papers that came out, that there was reference to the Mangaliwa Street. Now I'm sure that's it all. And please check that the correct name of Mangaliwa from the Wohopara down to the mouth of the Quicken is Paraiti. So we would like to go to please. But there was one other issue that I'd like to raise with you, and it is the Upper Heritage Park. Now, I commend the council there, it's fantastic, but what really puzzled Tapaweka is the fact that Tapaweka in the absent from the board of the Heritage Park, considering that that is within our area of interest, recognised by the Crown. Yeah, we would please.
Okay, thank you, Helen. Thank you for your submission, answering those consultative questions. Thank you for your appreciation and concern for the iwi hub and other whānau members in terms of what you've just spoken to us about. Well done. Apina.
Like projected. Things like a water.
Tēnā tātai, tēnā tātai i nei te kaupapa o te rā. E mihi ana te haukaina, te o mai kamarawaho, te pupuri ana i te mauri o tēnei whaina, tēnā tātai. Tai noa mai kia tātai kua hui mai, tēnā tātai, tēnā tātai, tēnā tātai. Councillors, morena, this morning. Most of you have met me before, but for anybody in the room who has not met me yet, Awhina Ngāti Rea Hau, he mokopuna no tauranga moana, no ngai pērangi me Ngāti Ranginui. And I also, like many other Māori, have whakapapa elsewhere in the region, and mine extends out to Rotorua, Kaurawa, Ngāti Rangiwewehe, and also to the Eastern Bay, Te Whānau Apanui. So I am the Chief Executive of Puikairawa, and I am speaking on behalf of Puikairawa today. you have received our submission and it's in regards to Māori internships that we'd like to scale across local government. So I do have a presentation here. Our proposal included quite a comprehensive project plan, our budget and also our risk management. So I'll take those all as read. And before I go into my presentation today, I do want to, I suppose, set the scene a bit quickly. I was told that I have 10 minutes, so I will move through this presentation swiftly. But councillors will recall that 3 years ago, Koe Kairawa was successful in the previous long-term plan process. And really at the crux of that proposal was an invitation to the council to partner with us on enduring solutions. And what that looked like was a series of different scoping opportunities in the whenua Māori space and social fulfillment, and also investment into our STEM program or innovation hubs. And so we're looking forward to presenting the highlights at the upcoming Committee Māori meeting to you all next month. But coming back to today's kōrero, this is also an invitation for this council to partner with us at Koe Kairawa for an enduring solution, and that's in regards to high value Māori internships. I have a few slides, as I mentioned. I'm going to start off with a video just to help set the scene for councillors and to change it up a bit in terms of the presentation style. I'm hoping that it's not going to have interference because of course it's streaming online, but we'll just press play and see.
No, sorry, not the laptop, just the clicker.
Oh, this one?
Yes. Point to this.
Thank God there's somebody here who knows.
Oh, please.
Okay. So volume's not up. Just close your eyes, councillors. Okay. Oh. So just imagine amazing MP music. That's what should be over here. Hopefully those listening in, including Councillor Lees, will be the volume was going on and online. So that was really just a provide a snapshot around our program, so you would have seen that there's actual real Māori interns there, there's there's some real employers there, and there's a lot of networking and things like that. Okay, so in the snapshot, the Toiki Tua Māori internship program is about increasing the participation of Māori going into higher value professional roles across strategic high growth industries. And it's really around how we collaborate with strategic regional sectors to help place our people into these spaces. Students are supported through this program that we've created through a tirohanga Māori, so a Māori worldview in amongst our Kaupapa Māori framework. And it's strategic too, in the sense, and I've said that 4 times already in that paragraph, but it's strategic in the sense that this is not just finding a random role within an organisation. This is us looking at the whole value chain in a high growth sector and working with those employers in these industries to place our people in that space. And so we're working, Toikarawa is working in the demand and the supply side of this context. We're working with employers around finding these positions, and then we're also working to build the pool of Māori talent coming so that we can connect them and match them to these opportunities. To the right there is, I suppose, the key components of our program. It includes one-to-one and one-to-many types of workshops and events, eco tours with the purpose to showcase the breadth and depth of a sector and industry. And then it's all wrapped around by pastoral care, and then it's exposure to different mentors across specialist areas. And so on the left-hand side there, our impact dashboard, that is a summary of our achievements to date in regard to this program. So we're about to enter into the 4th year of this program. We have refined it over the years, and we have grown our employer base to 26 employers. We have delivered on 42 internships, placing 39 students. And at the bottom there, 15, we've placed 15 tauira into permanent or temporary employment offers following as a result of our program. So the right there is just a bit of a snapshot of where our students have come from, with the University of Otago being ranking #1 in terms of where our students are coming from, so it's 28%. And so one might ask, why are we doing this? We're doing this because of our regional context. We have a young Māori population, we have a third of the Māori economy, we have significant interest in land-based industries, we have, we know our projection, our demographic growth looks like by 2030, Māori and Pacific peoples will make up 30% of the workforce age population, and that's expected to increase to 50% by 2050. However, despite these macro drivers, Māori are still overrepresented in all the negative social indicators across the board. And so we need to do more around supporting our people into those high value pathways in education, employment and training. What we also know too is, and those Māori unemployment rates there are 2022 figures, whatever the unemployment rate is, Māori tend to be double that rate. And so that's troubling, but more than that, what we're super focused on for Te Kairawa is the working poor. And more, especially in this time and day, our people are becoming, well, that pool of our whānau, not only Māori are becoming in that working poor space. What we also know about this profile is that when we're looking at the labour market and we're looking at Māori employment rates, we know that our people are occupying, well, 50% of our people are occupying low-skilled, semi-skilled roles. And that should be super alarming to us all in this room. Because what that means is that Māori household incomes are low, and that means that we are not prepared for any economic shocks of the day. And so that's why our program is a deliberate intervention to contribute to the changing of that profile. And so our program, over the last 3 years, we have been refining our approach and state in the primary industries place and space for obvious reasons. We're very much involved in that space, but the intention has always been to create a blueprint that can scale across other high growth sectors. This year, our intention is to go into the built industries, which is appropriate because of the infrastructure and all the things that is going to be built. But also a particular stream across local government. And this diagram here is just to show councillors that there's 3 streams, but where it intersects in those white areas there, that's when all the interns come together as I said, a full cohort, and then they drop off in the eco tours space. So what we're trying to, how we're trying to look at this is we need more of our people into this particular sector, and so the challenge for us is how might we scale rangatahi participation in these pathways. We know that there's significant roles and diverse roles out in the local government, including these ones here. But we want to make sure that we're seeing our people, or that they know first and foremost the breadth of this sector, but also that they are heading towards specialist areas, including management and also roles like yourselves. Now, this is a key question: is this a duplication? We have done our homework in terms of a scan across what other local government agencies are doing and across the region. Now, what we have observed is that it's varying. There's some councils who have very structured internship programs, including the regional council, a very successful one at that. We know that Rotorua has one, and others too. But some of the very smaller ones don't able to provide this sort of capacity. And this is an opportunity for the regional council to help champion across local governments investment. Now, what's the value proposition? When we asked our interns what it is that they valued about this program, here's some of the key things that they said, key themes. The main one being, I suppose, connection to a peer group. They can, they build that relationship, but then they become friends beyond that as well. What we've seen in our program is that actually the taha Māori is super valued, of course, because it's a kaupapa Māori structure, but also that's what they've found to be really valuable. Of course, it's about access to high caliber work and professional development opportunities. It's also about mirroring success. So every activation or engagement that we have with them, they're surrounded by other Māori striving to be successful, and that's great. When we ask the employers what's in it for them, why they like it, this is what they said. The access to a growing talent pool and their contributions to their space. They appreciate the way that we've structured our program because it's geared towards empowering interns and building community. But it's also around a lot of these big industries are on their own journey around cultural competency. But why is it important for the economy? It's because of this. Our organisations need to reflect our communities, and this is one way to contribute to that. This is about positive intergenerational change, and it's also about the opportunity to grow household incomes. Here's our growing employer network, and we would like your guys' name attached to this too next year, all going well. And so, yeah, I knew that my time was running out, so we're at the end now. Any questions?
Right, thank you. I've been, your time had run out. But with the time frame we're running to, thank you for your presentation. Much appreciated. Darren here?
It's not about, it's not about, it's coming from seven states.
Right. Us? All right. Dr. Moore, are you happy to give your presentation?
Yeah.
I know it's ahead of time,
That's totally fine.
so welcome. Can I also acknowledge your hospitality to my fellow councillors recently at Whanau Apanui? They came back extolling the virtues of not only the seafood, but what you're doing down there. So, welcome.
I just want to check whether we've got, we've got issue reception. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your very warm welcome. It is such a pleasure to see everybody here this morning, and I hope that there is crayfish on that much menu today. To our whānau here, Raina, Ramata, and Ruben, Morena, and to our very prestigious councillors. To our whānau, Ngāmihi, whānau Tani Tipuna, and Nāsu, it is just really wonderful to be here. So yes, we had the distinct honour to host our councillors and community staff. We had a wonderful time. Just some memorabilia. I don't think we haven't got the tea towels or the t-shirts out yet, but that'll be to follow. Really what this is, we're going to go straight pretty much to the business of what we're here for, because we have already seen how genuine and effective we can be within our region. Whanau Apanui is ready to roll our sleeves up. We've shown that, we do that, and we're here to see how we can be truly effective within our region and also be sort of like the shining star within our country. A little bit of, we know where that is. That's a little bit of the Whanau Apanui rohe there. The little blue lines you can see is significant, a lot of blue, a lot of water, a lot of whenua. We are the last area that has the mountain to the sea landscape of very and distinct native flora and fauna. But we've also had the unique honour of being the Forgotten Lands. And I think probably, when was it, Andrew? Somewhere around 4 or 5 years ago, when we came here to talk about the Opimura aspirations, and here we are today, being part of the Jobs for Nature, the North Island Forest Jobs for Nature Fund, of course, which is now coming to. So here we are, here's the ask. And I'm just going to speak for a couple of minutes and then 10 minutes for questions, because I think there might be some questions there. Business as usual. So the Mana Ki Te Mana framework is highly successful. What is the basis of genuine and effectiveness, and also keeping the marriage breathable, because let's face it, you do have to do that. It's kind of the annual visit. Now, we're 35 people, we don't expect you always to come to Whanau Apanui. We're happy to come to Whakatane or wherever and sample your oysters. Mahi Ki Te Mahi, again, working with our general managers in a way that really works through what needs to occur in that genuine way. There is a big space there in terms of the data assembly. So a lot of wānanga that's required in order to get us ready. Ratification is upon us with the Whanau Apanui. We will be ratified on June the 14th, and we will go into legislation 2025 June. And by all accounts, we are united as a iwi to go forward. The Apanui and Eastern and the Bay of Plenty Regional Council spaces of wānanga, we've indicated that already. Freshwater, resource consents, relationship agreements, all those spaces are going to be requiring some work with our senior leadership team, and of course with the wisdom of the councillors. One of the key things that comes up all the time, I'm sure you have that in every spaces, is procurement. The SHE system is, I'll just leave it at that. It's difficult to navigate for our people.
And so what we would want to look at is some of the unique ways in which we can ensure that what work is occurring within Whanapuni sits with our planning contractors. And again, we have lists, we have tried and true people that are qualified to do some of that. Building succession, this is going to be a new one that we're going to put through to the ask, which is cadet scholarship and an in-kind space where we'll create an intergenerational stream. And this is one of the key spaces of being genuine effective is meeting capacity to capacity. And so we want our children to be, the next Tool or the next Ruben. We want a lot of mini-meetings. And so that's one of the spaces that we'd like to grow. Business as usual, rivers and drains. Obviously there's quite a bit of work in this kind of climate impact. Some of the ask is actually specific to our awa and the sedimentation that we're now incurring. You can see there the rates too is another one in the space that we would like to work through and see how we can create decisive and genuine spaces in order to invest into our community and also our region. So here we are. Oh, we've got, I don't know if we can move that or I'll do that, but just so that you can see the specific total ask. But essentially, I'll go to the middle point there, which is 2.8 million over the 10-year period. A lot of that has to do with specific flood river management, GIS support. We visited the Waiho Bay jet, and also the Whanarua Creek reticulation, a coastal management plan, starting to get our spaces involved in that. That's EV-centric, and also access to experts. This is on top of business as usual, right? So how we create a capacitized space in the 10-year deep investment. Now, I say that as a deep investment because when we talk about the whānau, and if we were to create a calculation which says how much money actually has been truly invested back into our work, you could probably calculate something like 1 to 200 Ks over 30 years. Potentially. So what we want to do is really change that narrative around. I know you can all see that, so I might just stop there for now and just open the floor to questions and stuff. Chairman.
Right, thank you, Laura. Councillors. Councillor Crosby.
You know, Laura. And can you just explain how those numbers add up? I'm not quite sure. For 10 years, you've got different numbers for 10 years, so it's cumulative.
So there's the first and the third column are per year costs. So 1.36 every year for 10 years. And then in the middle, it's 2.8 over the full framework of the 10 years. So those are sort of like your one-off programs and projects. You can see that there's a real kind of focus on the different ways in which we look at climate impact. I mean, this is the crisis that we're looking down the barrel, particularly down the coast. So you have one main weather event and that takes us out in terms of infrastructure, that takes this community, our community out in terms of fresh water access. Our community is very reliable on fresh water. We don't have mains like Whakatane and Portuguese. There's only one mains working in that's Kaha. Obviously, Kōkore is trying to find solutions in that space as well, but most of our people are reliant on bores and springs. And so we've done a pretty clear focus on resilient habitat because we have to stop browsers, and you know that Whanapuni has a very successful program running at the moment, 120,000 hectares of 1080 and aerial culling space, working with Ngāwhene Wairakui Regional Council, Department of Conservation, and that aerial culling space as well. And so we really have to create a resilient habitat to keep the mountain in the mountain so that it doesn't flow out to the sea.
Councillor White.
Sure, Laura. You're going to help with. Oh, my was not able to enjoy the practice of the market and certainly was dealing in the process that we are. So yeah, but look, just to clarify, June the 14th, what I should know this, but what's happening on June the 14th?
Hi, so Whanapuni are going through our data settlement. So we're in the voting process, and then the ratification will occur, so the final signing of our data settlement, and then we'll take 30 year for legislation.
Councillor Iti.
So I must be showing my age because I can't quite read what's up here. And we don't have this, can I just clarify, you do not have this?
Sorry, Philip? You can't read that. So what about the one on, the cumulative figures, on the right-hand side? Can you see
So I
that?
can see those figures. They're right.
So I can just, on the first column, we have a resilient habitat, so that's 1 million for our committed plan.
Yeah.
Jobs for Nature is finishing for us 2025 and 26. So now we have to look at a diverse, the way that this multi-beast head of the government, I mean that respectfully, but they have a different way of investment. And so we have to look at how we can multi-range our investment to continue the 42 jobs of our whānau within the local whānau. Priorities, biodiversity areas, that's based on your own regional council maps. So the red dots, the yellow and the green that is there. I think I've got that somewhere there. Sorry, the map is a little bit hard to see, but you can see some of the priority areas as nominated by regional council. And so what we want to begin is a program of restoring and protecting those biodiversity areas. And that's 120k each year over 10 years. The whānau climate impact, again, 120k over 10 years. Now, that's a basic calculation on 12 marae, 10,000 a year per marae, but also it can also be an cumulative impact on being able to employ, and then also then find really genuine solutions to the impact. We have over 10 marae that are in a vital state. Urupa that you visited, so we're trying to look for solutions to make sure that our whānau that have passed away have a safe place to dine and reside. And also telemetry alma monitoring, so that's based on the 20,000 a year costing, which the local river is currently doing, but there are other alma monitoring that's a strategic important space of monitoring what's occurring within our rivers. Sediment is impacting our kaimoana, our agriculture ventures, our economic revenue that the EU wants to move forward in. And of course, when you have that amount of sediment that's coming down our rivers, we have to know what that looks like and how we can resolve and create solutions.
So can I just ask, is this, I guess, as the whānau who sees the shortfall, or is this your ask of regional council with that growth?
It's the ask of the regional council. Yeah, there is an incline on the third column there. You can see, so within the cadet tertiary sponsorship that we want to grow, and as well as deeper engagement with our kura. So 10k which incline our whānau land blocks will also invest in. The responsible dog ownership, I think this is one of those understated regional processes that we have around dog. We act in a very punitive regulatory way. And not in an engaging way. So what we want to do is really switch that. I also, as part of our returning abundance to whānau, that's also returning to species. And kiwi are constantly mauled by dogs. The Kiwi Trust is one of those spaces. And so we want to work with the regulatory team to create, engage, and we do have a framework of responsible dog ownership and which has been worked in conjunction with Kiwi, which is a charitable trust organisation.
So Laura, I should know the answer to this, but I don't. This is an addition, as Toy's just mentioned, in addition to the Jobs for Nature grant was given. So that was 28 million, wasn't it?
It was 34, so on the first book that I couldn't find where the 1 million. It was 34.4, and we've been able to stretch it to 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, so the end of it, the main bulk of the end will happen at the end of financial end of 2025,
Okay,
And then we've managed to stretch some and applied some other small amounts of monies to stretch a little bit into 2026. So we are essentially looking down the barrel of a gun, and we're doing a number of other spaces as well, but the 1 million over 10 years will certainly be an investment into regional stability.
okay, and the other one, which I know you probably had some ongoing dialogue because he was down there with the councillors, is you mentioned a lot about resilience of the coast, State Highway 35. Are you happy? It's not our gig as a regional council, but are you happy you're getting meaningful engagement with NZTA or Kostahi on that particular issue?
I think that's a work in progress, and that's certainly, I'm not sure if you're on the mailing list or Word Table, but if you are, you might be seeing some of the discussions that have been happening with NZTA, the pan-EV collaborative approach from around Kairawhiti as well through to Whanapunu, Ngaitai and Whakatōhea. And so there, the way that we have to approach it is as a collective. And that then brings the right people to the table so that you can have the right kind of portal. So yes, that is progressing well, but I think that again requires just constant relationship.
Okay, anything else? Councillor Von Dales.
Just want to take this opportunity once again, thank you for that visit. It was fantastic. It was, and wanting it to happen each year, I think is also really important. And the relationship, taking David Spears from NZTA with us, actually gave us an understanding of your other interests. And I think that, so it's nothing to do with this thing, but I just want to say that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aura.
We should have
Want to see you down. Want to see you down in 50 guys.
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
Right, now, so we have Darren Bean hasn't been able to get here. So you're going to bring forward Lauren Wakefoot. Laura, welcome. I'm
been on the trust. I'll be speaking to you next week.
What page is it? Okay.
What?
Tēnā tātou katoa, ko Lauren Wakefoot tōku ingoa, he uri o no te kaipukiro engari I tipu ake au ki Pāpāmoa. And I am employed as a policy analyst for Ngā Tū Kairangi Ahawhenua Trust. And I have the privilege today of presenting the trust submission on the Bay of Plenty Regional Council's long-term plan. I'd first like to acknowledge this beautiful whare and indeed the whole kāinga for opening it up to us and looking after us today. It's always going to be a good day when you start with fresh cheese scones and ample whipped cream, so ngā mihi nui ki a koutou. I'd also like to acknowledge the Council's kaimahi and our Councillor Matimuana McDonald for bringing the LTP directly to Māori land trusts such as ours and others like Mangatoa for discussion. So ngā mihi. After numerous land blocks were confiscated from Ngā Tū Kairangi Hapu through the use of the Public Works Act, the trust was led by Rangatira Lai Tururangi Te Kani into a plan of retaining and developing the land for future generations. And so kiwi fruit was planted on 8 whānau land blocks in the 80s, and Ngā Tū Kairangi Trust are now the owners and lessees of over 200 hectares of whenua, growing kiwi fruit, blueberries, persimmons, mandarins, and having a growing commercial portfolio with commercial assets in Tauranga CBD. And as we grow, so too has the plethora of legislation reforms and developments at both the central, local, regional government level. And so the need to have dedicated oversight over these changes is paramount. And since 2021, the Trust has endeavoured to further our understanding in this space and our understanding of our relevant councils as well as the councils of the other regions where we are manupuri with orchards. And so this means making and presenting submissions on the long-term plan where we hadn't before. And so it's become increasingly important to the trust to be over this mahi, so we really welcome the opportunity to present today. I wanted to reiterate today the points made within our submission as it relates to the 3 consultation topics. But I did also want to touch on the submission the trust made in regard to the rates remission and postponement policy. We were really encouraged by the work of those kaimahi within the council who held a workshop early in the year or last year before the release of the proposed policy, so that whānau, hapu, marae and iwi could provide feedback and share their experiences working within a rates framework and the challenges and inhibitors that they pose. And it has clearly been reflected in the proposed policy as we see an acknowledgement of those general titles who were wrongly changed from Māori freehold in the 60s. And so the inclusion of those general titles into this policy has been really encouraged. It's not a policy of just merely financial relief. It stands as a significant stride to recognising the rights and aspirations and mana of Māori landowners and indeed the whānau, hapu and iwi they belong to. So by adopting this policy, the Bay of Plenty Regional Council can reaffirm its dedication to Te Arapautanga through this policy and its commitment to partnership, equity and cultural integrity within this rohe. But back to the LTP submission, the consultation topics 1 and 2 referring to the who should pay for buses in the regional parks were pretty straightforward to us in terms of what council's reasoning behind this decision making was. Although we do acknowledge that the current cost of living is tremendous, and for communities that are living outside of Tauranga and Rotorua, where their urban transport is located, they're probably not necessarily going to be in agreement to council's preferred option, but there's an inherent environmentally driven need to get people out of cars and into alternative modes of travel. And this is only going to be successful if we have well-funded, well-thought-out and reliable, safe transport networks. So within this regard, the trust did agree with council on this option, but we did provide additional comments about improving regional connectivity, and that's held within our submission. In considering the investigation into the development of new regional parks across the rohe, the trust immediately referenced the recent improvements to Te Rai o Papamoa. Regional parks are not only a great way to preserve our green spaces for future generations, but it is also an important avenue to, but it is also an opportunity for councils to work directly with whānau and hapu of that whenua and bringing their ancestral stories and mātauranga to the forefront so that all of the public can enjoy them. What the trust found was missing within this particular consultation topic was reference to where those particular parks were being investigated and who those relevant mana whenua were and whether or not they themselves were in agreement with the investigation. For Ngāi Tūkairangi Trust, if the mana whenua are not in agreement with those proposed regional parks, then we can't support it, and we would like to know a bit more about what their whakaaro was on that topic. Now I guess to the crux of it was, and probably the most pressing consultation point within this LTP, is the question of whether Bay of Plenty Regional Council should sell some of their shares in the Port of Tauranga. And to my understanding, and I've been with the trust since 2021, this is something that has been circulated and discussed for a number of years now. So it wasn't a surprise to our trustees to see it included within the consultation document. And so within our submission, we commented on what we believe are the non-financial risks of council having such a large shareholding within the port, and whether it contradicts some of the other activities, strategies and goals of council. We stand by those comments and indeed encourage council to continue to explore the purpose of Quayside Holdings and whether or not it aligns with modern, whether or not it aligns in a modern context of Te Arapautanga. And in carrying out that exploration, they include all of the hapu, marae and iwi of the region as key stakeholders in that, in discerning the purpose of Quayside Holdings. The trust also reaffirms today the comments made in our submission that if council chooses to sell those shares, there must be a collaborative hapu-led forum established to discuss a right to first refusal process. The history and establishment of the port is one built on land theft. and through the Public Works Act, and any avenue which acknowledges that debt and seeks to restore some semblance of balance is highly, highly recommended. And in this regard, the Trust extends its full and unwavering support of Ngāi Tūkairangi Hapu, who are presenting next week, as the primary representative entity for Ngāi Tūkairangi in these particular discussions around the watersheds. So we stand ready to provide that support for Hapu-led decision-making, recognising the importance of preserving Indigenous rights and fostering meaningful dialogue between all stakeholders in this regard, in this process. Furthermore, the prospect of shares of the port being sold to offshore corporations is very dangerous to us and could further limit those whānau, hapu and marae from being able to engage and be a part of the decision making. So there has to be robust safety measures put in place to retain local and domestic ownership of the Port of Tauranga. I do also just want to finish by commending Bay Regional Council as a leader in establishing Māori wards. I believe it's 20 years ago this year, since they were established, I think. And we are now under a government who is outright threatened by Te Iwi Māori taking their rightful place at the decision-making table and are responding by attacking local decision-making in this context. And this is not just an attack on Te Iwi Māori, it is in fact an attack on local government processes as a whole. And as a leader in establishing Māori wards, the Trust would encourage and indeed expects Bay Regional Council to be vocal in their opposition of Minister Simeon Brown's recent announcements around the Māori wards, and indeed to be vocal and share the success that has come from our rohe through the establishment of Māori wards. And when whānau, hapu and iwi Māori are able to achieve their aspirations and indeed their endeavours, the entire city, region and country benefits from this. So do not be scared, toi tū te reo Māori, toi tū te whenua, toi tū te tiriti o Waitangi, ngā mihi.
Kia ora, Lauren. Councillors, any questions? Nothing more? Oh, sorry.
Very quickly, I just want to acknowledge your statement around the support of the hapu in your position as a Māori entrance. We do often struggle at the table as to where the alignment of that Māori entrance. So it's great to see a Māori entrance actually presenting, and I know there are others that are presenting, so that it just helps councillors understand the relationship between trust, whānau, hapu, and iwi. So
Lauren, congratulations, a very well presented submission. I know your question there, trying to get clarity around what's the purpose of Quayside. We're very clear, staff will get back to you about that, of course. So congratulations, once again, very well presented.
Thank you.
Councillors, we're running ahead of time, but our submitters graciously agreed to bring forward their presentation. So Darlene Dinsdale and Shad Rollister on behalf of the Waiari Paitiaki Advisory Group. Welcome, Shad. Welcome, Darlene.
Morning, Father. Tūtaiaki ka skumiri, tātai, pare for the name. Viki ra ngā āpatana rawa, rea te rā ngā whakaro te arāta ngā pōtene. Rea te rā te tāta te mate te ngā se te tēnā rāta. Kia koe rā te tiamana, te pau whakarai, ngā pau, ngā hapu ka hoa koi mwana se ngā kusa tēnā. Kia ora everybody. Firstly, I just want to thank you for allowing us to come and present today on behalf of the Waiari Paitiaki Advisory Group. Many of you will know who I am, but I might just give Darlene the opportunity to introduce herself as well.
Tēnā tātou, te Darlene Dinsdale tuenga, he uria hau no tapu i te meo aikaha. I rau i tēnei mahi, ka mahi au i raro i te korowae o he mokupuna o tia rako hai. O tira, o ai titangi o ngā tiamana o te Waiari Paitiaki. Pūrena tātou.
Kia ora. You would have a copy of our submission and take that as being brief. I just want to highlight a couple of points in our submission. And just for context and background, the way Paitaki Forum is an advisory group in response to the Waiari water scheme. It currently supplies water through to Tauranga City and in the future through to Western Bay. And the advisory group was a response in terms of the resource consent process and the desire for mana whenua, in particular Waipaha, Tapuika, Ngāti Whakaari, to have an ongoing role in how water supply was managed and delivered into the sub-region of Eastern Bay, also into Tauranga City. And the advisory group has been running now for a number of years, monitoring the delivery and the construction of the Waiari water scheme, and have an ongoing role in terms of the delivery of water to the Tauranga community, and then at some point in the future through to Western Bay. As part of the advisory group, the hapu and the various partners, and I do want to acknowledge the Regional Council have a monitoring role in terms of the delivery of that project. And we have Ruben who sits alongside and provides advice and support from a regulatory perspective, along with the various partners, the hapu, Tauranga City and Western Bay. In terms of our submission today, our hapu partners, but also supported by our council partners, have essentially developed a program that works to enhance the environmental elements along the Waiari, in particular, to enhance their relationship, or our relationship, community relationships with the awa. And council has, Tauranga City Council, has committed through the delivery of the scheme, Pūtea funding, in its long-term plan for the delivery of environmental enhancements, cultural recognition elements, and programs over the next 3 to 5 years to enhance relationships that community and mana whenua have with the Waiari. Tauranga City Council have committed 750,000 for the delivery of a $1.4 million program. And we're seeking some additional funding, essentially from the Bay Regional Council. The Kaitaki Forum will also be making a submission to Western Bay, and will also be making submissions through to some of our philanthropic partners as well, to assist in the delivery of that program. There are a number of elements in that program, from recognition elements, access, environmental enhancements through planting and connections. So essentially we're submitting to the Bay Regional Council some assistance around supporting that program. The way Kaitaki Forum is also seeking to align in terms of the delivery of this program with Kaituna, Marua Kaituna, to ensure that we're more efficient in the delivery of these recognition elements. And while I don't necessarily have the ability, but working with our partners on the Pocket wastewater scheme as well, and there is an advisory group set up along Western Bay and so we're trying to get some coordination around the delivery of some of these programs to ensure that we're delivering it in an efficient and effective way. I think that's our submission today, and you'll see in the submission itself there is an outline of the program, delivery timetable, of what we're seeking to achieve for the Waiari, but also for the communities that connect into the Waiari, particularly hapu along Waiari, Waitaha. And I just want to acknowledge some of our whānau here who will be making a submission later on this afternoon. I'm happy to take questions.
Kia ora, Shad. Kia ora, darling. Could I just compliment you on a very comprehensive submission? There's a lot of work in front of you and your fellow whānau members to achieve this outcome. Obviously well doing that. Councillors, any questions? Councillor McMillan.
Just wanted to ask, what about 750K from DCC, is that secure regardless of the outcome of the elections? Definitely.
It's in, we've deliberated and signed off on the LTP, so it's essentially.
Scott.
Good morning, yes, both of you. Questions of the 750,000 you want from us, is there the sort of things like it's within our staffing, within our plant budget, that sort of area, or is there something coming up with that?
It could be a bit of both. So we have had run some workshops with some of the hapu around monitoring and evaluation. So Ruben's run those with the hapu. So there could be in-kind support, but there, we are seeking there as well as.
Darling, in terms of the project today, how do you feel progress is going? Established.
After establishment, I think it's up and running. We did have a bit of a blip last year with some flooding, and it's amazing to see how much water actually flows through there. And it was after the Gabriel and those weekend events. But it's amazing to see how the structures, the intake structures, cope with that deluge of water, the pumps. It didn't take long for it to come back online, but there was sufficient capacity in the reservoirs to cope. But yeah, it's council was focused too on stage 2, which is the delivery of the network through to Papamoa. So that's stage 2 of the way. So we do need to work closely with our partners through. Yeah, we are working quite closely, particularly with our partners, to ensure that and you'd be aware at the outset there were some concerns from Tello around this.
Sorry, my question is not so much progress around the progress around the softer issues, cultural issues, things like that. Which this project is really about.
Yeah, so a lot of that's been led and developed by our EDRs in particular, and the council partners that eager to support their approaches to that. And we're eager to get on with them. So we do have some resources there to get started. So it'll be a matter of prioritising where we can on those first steps.
Councillor Iti.
Sure. Thank you for the submission. And just around the voting model, has that been used already? I guess I'm wondering about examples with regards to interfacing with other councils, local governments and spaces.
In terms of voting model or the YA, it's been launched and it's currently hosted by Taputi Authority. There's an aspect of ongoing monitoring, so that's the way we need today. And in terms of other councils, I think answer that. All I know is that it is launched and being monitored currently by Taputi.
Councillor.
I'm Hiki Alfredo. Thank you for your presentation. Just a point of clarity, you mentioned you are extending the connection with action for life of Kaituna. Question, how far has that progressed and other resources you're seeking part of developing those relationships?
We're just kind of stepping through that at the moment for the chairs to engage, but also the various teams. So at this point in time, we haven't had a chance to kind of collaborate all that together. There is an intention to do that. But we just haven't got there yet.
Okay. Thank you, darling. Thank you, Shed. Next presenter, councillors Nawai, Corpus. Nawai. You're presenting on behalf of the Iwi Trust.
Hi.
Yours, yours.
Whakapūatorani, whakamānao ki te tika kōtērani. Kia māturi tōna tōmairangi ki runei a tātou a are nei te. Karama mai, mai wau, kōpū re re rua, wai kare au. Ngā te tamarāwaho, ngā te anui. Tēnei a tiki o kura, e mōhaka, a ngā te hine uri, e mihi nei ki te kaupapa. O tēnei rā hira, i raro i te maru, o tamatea te pai. Timatāna mai, ngā pai mai ngā kaimana mai. Te mātāpuna o te awa e kia nei, o te wai koroputu o kaimana. Kia tiri au ngā kōawa, kia mihi a koutou, ngā iwi, ngā kaitiaki, ngā mana o tēnā muka, o tēnā muka, o te awa e whakakawa ki tia nei, e korani kai. Tēnei hei kai kōrero mo hini ewi. Hei hāpai te mana o tā mātai tātai kai, i te mahire roa, o te moana atu, Waiapiti Regional Council. Inuit Iwi Trust supports Waiapiti Regional Council long-term care, in particular the three following areas. Te tiriti at the centre, number 2, diversifying or portfolio overview as it relates to portfolio. Rates remission policy, particularly as it relates to female Māori. I will now elaborate on the previous points as I talk about a summary of our submission. The tiriti at the centre from a Iwi Trust perspective, our position is Waiapiti Regional Council affirm its position in support and realign strategies, operations and resource to support. The outcome be elevated to an overarching outcome and enabler to the other community outcome. Deed of settlement commitments are reaffirmed and those pending are supported. The Reo Māori policy to promote use be adopted. Supporting the rates remissions policies for whenua Māori. Supports hearing on a marae and will endeavour to have a inuit representative speak to their solution. Supports assisting initiatives to support iwi Māori. For example, funding for iwi management plans to be delivered and released. Support for RMA tools such as mana whakahongo ārohe. Supporting the Rangitaiki River Forum to revise the river strategy. Comprehensive review. Supporting the value of partnerships like co-governance forums. As we believe they will meet with and align to the following community priorities. Te tiriti o Waitangi, healthy environment, future-ready communities, connected communities, sustainable development, partnerships with Māori. Summary point number 2, whether to sell some shares for the Port of Tauranga from a Iwi Trust perspective. Our position is to support Waiapiti Regional Council to diversify its portfolio in the Sunnyvale and Port Tauranga shares. Furthermore, supports a portion of those shares to be available for iwi to purchase. As we believe they will meet with and align to the following community priorities, Te Awapautanga, regional planning and development, partnerships with Māori. Summary point number 3, rates remissions and postponement policy from a Iwi Trust perspective. Our position is supporting the rates remissions policies for whenua Māori, as we believe they will meet with and align to the following community priorities. Regional planning and development, partnerships with Māori, Te Arapautanga, Te Tiriti o Waitangi. On behalf of the Iwi Trust, I take it to the contract. What I don't mean to knock out faculty, cannot say, cannot say.
You're on my way. Councillors, questions? Is not, no one. Could I just seek some clarification in your submission? You made reference that some of the shares should be available for purchase by you. Is that what you really meant? Because that opportunity exists today.
Yeah, I think this was written by our both IO, so we just came together oral submission, but I think there was a conversation in the forum. But yeah, I think she's going on that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I can get clarification. If you want.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Yeah.
Okay. Councillors, we are waiting for Francis. And because the agenda time is 12:20, when she arrives, we'll reconvene. In the meantime, we adjourn until Francis arrives. Stretch your legs, enjoy the sunshine. Thank you, councillors. We'll reconvene. Councillors, I'm not too sure whether you're following the submitter. So our colleagues on Zoom are trying to do it on hard copies. And the run sheet I've got, the page doesn't relate. So the hard copies, it relates to the website. So what staff are going to help me with is, as each submitter comes on, they're going to give me the hard copy number page. And if you're on diligent, it's sort of diligent.
It's just so much easier, so there's no to self, guys, get on.
I want you to tell me when you get that chart.
Okay, so bear with me, Francis. Councillors, our councillors on Zoom, we have Francis Curtis here. We've got Lee Comer, the chair, and we've got Tiffany Ma. Welcome, Tiffany, from the Tarawera Awa Restoration Strategy Group. Hard copy page number submission is 346, and on diligent it is all 77. So for those words, Francis, Leith, Tiffany, welcome. Look forward to your presentation.
Mau e tuaki nei. Amate pōkai whenua e tuaki nei. Ihu parapara, tamanai, the wharekai. Amate Auntie Nui, anu, Taki Timu Waka. Kanu te mi kia koutou. Nai tamara waho, ta hapu, anō rangi nui, pili. Anō reira kanu te mi kia koutou anō Doug, koutou nā Paipiri Māori, Rangi o tātou, mana, koutou hoi, tū hoi. Kanu te mi, anō Kat, Malcolm, Phil, Ron, and that's it, yeah. I'm all online, kanu te mi kia koutou tātou. Anei he kai tia poto mō tātou. Unu here, te unu tapu nui kia wātia. Kia māma te nākau tina nā me te wairua. Hoi ai rono whakeiri ake kinu na kia tīna. Haumi e hui e tāi.
So,
Kia ora tātou, tuatahi ai, kei te miha ki kia tātou, tāke atu i te karakia me te mihi atu o Matua Tikene, ko Dr. Francis Tank Curtis Sokurinwa, no te Tarawera Awa Restoration Strategy Group. Koutou rā, anga toi moana, kaunihira nei tā mātou nei me kia ki. So kia ora tātou, thank you for giving us a little bit of your time this morning, to our councillors, to our chair, state leader and others, for being able to give us some time. So our talk this afternoon is around what's happening with us at the on the Tarawera Awa Restoration Strategy Group, and I'm going shortly. I will ask our chair, Lee Comer, to be able to speak around our settlement and what that means in this space. But our tool this morning is to look at completing the funding that we have. You would see in the submission that as the task, that's the acronym for our Restoration Strategy Group, we received a one-off grant of $788,000 from the Crown, and we can speak to that a bit more. And that was actually we were charged with being able to put a strategy document together for the restoration of the mauri of Tarawera Awa ki te awa ki atua. As we've found over time, since our very first inaugural hui that we had, which was back in December 2022, is that as the work has got moved forward, that there are other funds that we need to complete the development and the completion of that strategy document. So I've outlined that very as carefully as I can in the budget here that we're missing around the project management and our stakeholder engagement. So to date, we have started doing, you will see in the submission, we've put together 3 parts of how the strategy document will come to fruition. The first part that we had started and we completed is what we've called the aspirations document. And that's been integral to the way that it's helped to start setting out the layout of the strategy document. So that's been completed. From the aspirations document, we have just completed a couple of workshops with our task membership to develop some draft strategic objectives and some draft actions that fall out of those. So now that we've done that, we are starting to look at foregrounding that strategy document, the objectives with the context of the strategy document and the background of how we've gotten to. Further to that, which is still the development of the document, we are intending on if the task approves these draft strategy objectives, to go out to our stakeholders to start engaging with them. We've done that already, so we've created some initial engagement. There's some really big players in there, like our Kawerau Mill, our farmers, Māori Investments Limited, etc. So we need to start going back out and doing some bigger engagements with those different groups. So I'm going to leave it there. I will give it over to Lee and he can talk to it around the actual settlement.
Kia ora, Francis, tēnei te nui kia koutou ngāra o tira kato. When we settled with the Crown, they legislated a group called the Tarawera Awa Strategy Group to come up with a strategy to restore the mauri of Te Awa Te Atua and the Tarawera Awa. Unlike some of the previous settlements, we were only given money to actually administer, if you like, the Tarawera Awa strategy. They gave us nothing in our settlement to deal with big things that are going to come forward about. If we're going to rechannel some rivers, the cost of that is going to be significant. If we're going to require district councils to restore the mauri by coming up with better wastewater systems, there's going to be a number of costs there. So we are looking for this contribution to add to the 780,000, which we've already got, to finish the strategy document. Then, together, we will have the task with you of going to the government to get the significant funding in order to complete our strategy. So that is why we're here, to supplement the money that we've already got from the grant, to do something that will lead to us clearly needing the Crown to support our strategy with significant funding on some major projects that we have. So thank you for your time, but that's why we're here.
Finish, Francis? Yeah. Councillors. Question from me, Francis and Leith, is whilst this request has been made, the strategy group, is the strategy group going to pursue further dialogue with MFE? Right. Okay.
We have to have something to go and talk to MFE about. And until we get the strategy developed, we probably don't have enough to go to them to warrant. What we would hope is for MFE to give us advice about how we can make some substantive bids in future budgets coming up to fund this project.
So we've got a question from Councillor Nees, who is on Zoom.
Thank you, Kia ora. The question I have is, I couldn't find a specific amount that you're seeking in your submission, unless I'm looking in the wrong place. I wonder if you could give us some indication of the amount of funding you're seeking over what period? Thank you.
Apologies, councillor. So we have it as a hard copy and we've shared it out to the councillors here. So we are seeking an extra $110,000 per year from 30th of June or 1st of July 2025 through to 2027, through that period. Who's annually.
Did you hear that, Jane?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor White.
And I've got to you mentioned you've had, some significant engagement with stakeholders in Region 1. Who are the stakeholders that you connect with that?
So we've currently engaged with, we've had initial engagements with OG, the mill. We've had engagements with MIL, Māori Investments Limited. We've also engaged with the BOPRC Federated Farmers with their group, and also the Maratā Residents Association. So those are some of the groups that we've been in front of today.
So if you start at the mouth of the river and you work your way down to the cut at Maratā, there are people who are doing things that actively relate to the quality of the water. And we have engaged with all of them so far to tell them that we're going to come back with our strategic thinking about what it is we want to do with them, and then engage them and agree to our strategic plan. We've done the initial talking to the foresters, the mills, the farmers, all of the council and the communities along the way. So we've done quite a good initial strategic communications with stakeholders, but the next step will be developing the strategic plan and further consultation.
Can I just ask a follow-up, Chair? Just as in terms of your intent for the Taua restoration approach and strategies, what sort of initial response are you getting from those stakeholders at this stage? Is it open? Is there a discussion? Is it support?
I think it's a range. I think that there is certain interest. There is a bit of skepticism about our aspirations, but I think there is a willingness for us to engage with them, and the more information that we can provide with them about how we're going to do things, how we're going to work with them, I think that over time we will get in a very good place with all of those key stakeholders. but it's a range of initial reactions from.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Tiffany. So we're now going to adjourn for Kai. And I'd like to extend an invitation for you to join our councillors in sharing that.
Thanks, Dave.
So we're adjourned till next speaker is at 1:10, 13:10. But we reconvene about 1300, will be ready to go.
Like, there we go.